Hello, welcome to Icpess 2008 virtual presentations session 55. Now I will give you the names of the participants of this session. First presentation is Justice, Social Order and the Question of Migration by Alim Yılmaz. Then Factors that influences the correlation between immigration and welfare state. Study on Canada, France, Greece and Sweden by Leonardo Zotto. Next one, AK Party's approach to local governments in the context of party's 2023 political vision document by Erdal Aydın. And the next one, and last one is legal studies of blue cards foreigners under Turkish law in comparison with European Union law by Ekin Tuna. Now we will watch participants' videos. I wish you nice and pleasant watch. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alim Yılmaz. I will make a presentation on justice, social order, and the question of migration, but my focus will be on the question of migration that we are now living and witnessing in the Middle East, and of course that are live in Turkey and European Union. Yes, my focus will be, as I told before, on the concept of migration, which is related to the concept of justice, social order, and the concept of tolerance. Well, first of all, let me say that I'm an associate professor in Istanbul Medeniyet University at the Political Science and Public Administration Department. Why I have chosen such a subject? What is the meaning of justice, social order, and why social order, or let's say order in general, is related to justice and the question of migration. We have witnessed historically in the West that justice and social order, the question of social order and the value of justice, are essential topics and values of the West and Europe and Union. So, in order to understand Europe's negative attitude towards immigrants, we should analyze and try to understand the concept of order and justice in relation to migration, because the establishment in the European Union and in the West suppose that the movement of immigrants or migration will destroy their social order and, of course, their justice conception. Well, in order to have a free and safe society, according to European values, in order to construct a free and safe society, they have to preserve their order in the context of justice. So, in this perspective, they say that in order to exclude negative occurrences in their countries, they should in a way protect their social order and their justice, their right of property, expression of thought, etc. So they think that in order to gain and protect these values, they should omit and close their eyes to the questions of the immigrants from Middle East. However, if you protect your security, yes, you need liberty, and you should secure the right of property, the right to travel, and of course the right of expression of thought. So in order to escape the questions and problems that stem from the immigrants, the European Unions unfortunately have developed a negative attitude towards refugees around the world. Especially in Syria, Iraq, and other Middle East countries, human beings are living in their hometowns do not feel secure, and that's why they try to survive their lives and gain good opportunities. To gain this aim, they are going to move to the secure and of course the welfare states like Turkey and European Union. In the actual case, in the actual situation, the European Union, although it's the European Union and Russia, etc., United States, are the part of the problem, they do not contribute to resolve the problem of immigrants and refugees, which are stemmed from the civil war in the Middle East. This we should pay attention to the fact that the civil war which is lived in the Middle East, especially in Syria, Iraq, and other countries, are the result of the West, like United States, European Union intervention. They intervene to the Middle East countries, and of course this is only one part of the question, but we should recognize that, we should regard that they are the strong part of the problem. So they should contribute to the resolution. In order to resolve this question, this problem, and to reduce the problems of the civil war, we should take account some political, religious, social, and economic conflicts of the current situation. Yes, so therefore I argue that a possible resolution will only be possible in cooperation with the mentioned actors. I mean that as much as Turkey, the European Union countries, and the United States, and of course Russia should try to resolve the civil war condition in the Middle East geography, so the problem will be reduced and the question of the problem of immigrants will be resolved. This is one main part of the question. The other is that to be immigrant or to be a refugee is not an intention of some people. They are forced to move from their countries to other side of the world. So we should also regard that to move around the world is one of the basic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leonora Soto, and I'm presenting you my study, which concerns the factors that influence the correlation between immigration and welfare state. This is a study based on Canada, France, Greece, and Sweden. Although there are established structures for the management of immigration in the international sphere, there is vivid, a long debate about the erosion of the welfare state because of the presence of immigrants in a country. Based on this point of view, but in more theoretical context, it would be interesting to see what correlation is between the management of immigration and the welfare state. In order to identify this correlation, we will focus on analyzing 4 different immigrants host countries that have immigration management system and welfare state developed. We chose France, Canada, Sweden, and Greece as examples of 4 different groups of welfare states according to international typologies. Further, the most important is to identify the factors that have impact on the correlation between immigration management and the welfare state for every country of the analysis, but also in general. To understand this issue, we'll focus on models of welfare state that include the countries under analysis in accordance with Anderson and Ferreira thesis. The types of welfare states that have been crystallized are the liberal, where Canada belongs, the conservative, where the conservative welfare state where France belongs, the social democratic model of Nordic countries, the South model where Greece belongs. Let's see the theoretical differences. Analytically, the liberal model, USA, Australia, Canada, and United Kingdom, its ideology is based in the individualist perception of the people as reasonable beings gifted with skills and responsible for their actions. Conservative corporatist welfare states, France, Germany, and Austria. This system is called also Bismarckian system. An important element of this Bismarckian system was to achieve a compromise between 3 parties, employers, workers, and the state. This is a system of redistribution and solidarity of generations. Social democratic model, Scandinavian countries. There is a universalism of benefits arising from the citizenship and in other cases of legal residence in the country for foreigners. South European model, Italy, Greece, Portugal. This is an extreme version of Bismarckian model with the social protection and income which is typical of continental Europe. Let's see now the welfare state in Canada. Canada ranks among countries with a liberal welfare regime where the role of the state is minimal and the development of the market is a priority. The central position is the individualistic approach of man as a reasonable being responsible for his action, and from that point of view, those who need the state help are just miserable. This system is characterized by selective aid only to the weakest after strictly controlling their incomes. In Canada, as in other countries of the same group of states, the welfare state is a market-enhancing mechanism. Negative consequences of this system is the expansion of low-skilled and low-paid jobs the commercialization of benefits, the stigmatization of beneficiaries, and its non-redistributive character. France is tracked in the countries with the conservative welfare state model, a model in which the role of the state is very strong and where the rights granted are categorical and not universal as in the liberal model. Private insurance plays a minimal role. Social rights are based in constitutional guarantees. The criticism focuses on its redistributive character, the generous social security benefits, and the gap they represent, the passive form of benefits resulting in the lack of incentives such as integration of females in labor market. The general welfare state in Sweden. The general system of welfare state is elastic, bureaucratic, and decentralized. Particular importance have benefits on training and services. Social policy and employment policy are implemented by social services on local level. Full employment is at the center of the political agenda, which is a right guaranteed by the Constitution. There is an increase in women's employment, especially in public sector, which reaches a rate of 80%. Welfare state in Greece. The benefits are derived mainly from the contribution and not from the general taxation. Social rights are categorized. Its characteristics are a high degree of transfer payments, an unequal distribution of social protection, low profitability of social services provided, and a strong degree of client relations. Welfare state and migration management. Canada. The aim of the immigration selection system is to minimize the dependence of new immigrants of no state mechanism. With a well-known point system, Canada chooses skilled immigrants that can easily find themselves in the labor market and that have a high ability to adapt. Secondly, welfare services are quite generous with those who are involved in it. Immigrants who meet the few requirements have direct access to welfare services without being differentiated from the local population. The aim of labor market policy in this country is to pull people from the welfare into the labor market and not to encourage them to remain there. Welfare state and migration management in France. Immigrants of all nationalities have access to welfare services. A number of studies note that in some European countries, as well as in France, immigrants enjoy more benefits from welfare than local citizens. Some of the reasons that lead to this situation are: firstly, they choose France because they know that its welfare system is generous. Secondly, adoption problems make more prone to depend on welfare programs. And thirdly, reduced wage because they are excluded from a number of jobs make them turn into welfare support most of the time. Another opinion emphasizes that immigration and asylum application may be a consequence of the widespread welfare system in France. The welfare state in Sweden plays a key role in maintaining a certain level of social equality and preventing the emergence of socioeconomic gaps of various groups of citizen immigrants included. This welfare model requires that majorities support the idea of fair distribution of goods, which presupposes that a certain feeling of belonging and solidarity already exists among inhabitants. The objective of this immigration policy in Sweden are equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities for everyone, irrespective of the ethnic or cultural background, social cohesion built on diversity, and social development characterized by mutual respect within the boundaries of a democratic society. Welfare state and immigration management in Greece. Based on the laws that are the core of this policy, we see that the social rights of immigrants have been gradually predicted in coherence with the maturation of immigration policy. We see that in the first period of the law, the first period of the immigration policy was negatively assessed, but because there was a lack of provision of basic rights for foreign immigrants. In the third period, the law of 2005, immigrants enjoy equal rights with Greek citizens and same access to welfare and insurance institutions. The framework is enriched with another series of other rights related to their dignity and active participation in social life. Conclusion. To sum up, the purpose of this article was to analyze the correlation of the welfare state with the management of immigration. The main question was identify the factors that had impact on the correlation between the welfare state and the management of immigration. The conclusion for the countries we analyzed are that the correlation between the welfare state and the management of immigration may be influenced by the below factors: the economic development of the country, the ideology of political parties, the role of the religion in politics, the model of management of cultural differences, the discrimination on labor market, the unemployment rate of immigrants, the power of the trade unions, the general ideology of the organization of the state, the immigration policy, the structure of public institutions within the state. The shape of this correlation, it depends on the dynamic power of each of these factors. Thank you very much for following me.
Hi, dear colleagues. Today's my discussion is about AK Party's vision of 2023 local government vision. It's a very important documentary that AK Party tried to actually shape their way of politics. Those kind of documents shows how the party have relationship, how the party feature perspective actually. The new party, when 2001 AK Party is established, even after 15 months, the party came to power. Why? Because actually one of the important element that we can underline about the success of the AK Party is giving society hopes, giving society new dream, new revelation. So it's very important for society, for nation, for public to look the future with hope, with the dreams. And if the party, if any party in any society, any nation, any time, if gives this kind of new energy, new synergy, new power, new kind of attractive, let's say, story, of course, and then people show more power and support actually those kind of things, if it is trusted, of course. I mean, something you can promote, you can talk, you can advise, or you can, let's say, promise, but it should be also realized. So society look it and try to check it and try to give, of course, analyze it and then decide whether it's possible, not rational, not. And this is looking the general will, as Rousseau in his theory, in his doctrine, he mentioned. So general will actually elaborate, look like the Adam Smith, the term of the unhidden hand. That is a kind of unhidden will, and it evaluate everything less actually. So the vision of 2023 local government documentary by AK Party, like 2053, 1950, 14, the conquer of Istanbul by 1453, or 2071, another goal or vision of AK Party revealed, has a connection of the actually 1071, the conquer of Malazgirt. So those kind of historical cases and historical success, AK Party tried to get reference and make a connection between the past success story with the future actually. So okay, today actually Rondinelli is very famous thinkers in about the local government, and he made classifications, three important classification for local governments, and one is delegation, and the second concentration, third devolution. And devolution actually political decentralization, and for the political decentralization is very important. The others, first two ones may be evaluated as decentralization in the sense of the administration, but in a political sense, this devolution actually is very important, and for national countries like Turkey, this is very ad hoc topic. This is like hot potato, because you try to preserve your unity, and from the past, from the Ottoman story, we know that always Ottoman in many years, maybe for 200 years, followed the French Unitarian central administration from the Napoleon 1808. Napoleon codified and established systems based the central. So from the center to the periphery, this kind of model was very effective actually. That's why the Ottoman tried to imitate. But later, we know in the 21st century, 100 years ago, time is very fast and fast. So everything is changing. So this system, this perspective, how it is acceptable or how it is effective, it can be debated, of course. So because we know democracy in local governments, especially, is very important arena in order to test your civil rights. That's why people have more hopes for local political facilities. Okay, today actually, when I look my notes, okay, for AK Party vision, okay, this party tried to always change the system, a kind of maybe cope that we have in Turkish political life. Unfortunately, from 1960, even in Ottoman times, Baba Ali revolutions, we have those kind of story during the Republic, always from one party time period, and then with the multi-party period, we see almost 10 years. But after 10 years, 1960, we have a reality of the COP data, unfortunately. So 1971, and 12 September 1980. So within approximately 10 years, we have COP data reality, unfortunately. But with the AK Party, of course, after 2002, almost 16 years passed, and still has AK Party in government. And why I think is very important. Of course, we have multi-party systems. We have oppositional also parties in Turkish political spectrum. We can see many kind of parties have different ideologies. It's very important, of course, for our democratic grounds. But local government story will look AK Party try to. This is a kind of a dilemma. In one side, you try to preserve the central government, but on the other side, you try to spread your democracy and your democratic perspective in a local arena. But we also have the case of the in the eastern district actually, and the southeastern district, the Kurdish question, especially PKK. So the PKK is very hard actually for our Turkish political history. In one side, you try to develop your democracy, but on the other side, you have to preserve your security. That's why this dilemma of the democracy, dilemma of the security, but especially with the local government, let's say this problem is old problem, but you can't close your eyes about those kind of things. You have to give new solution. You have to give alternative things in society. So that's why AK parties maybe try to for many things, like the sectarian problem of the, let's say, Alevi question, and like the laïcism and the conservative or religious people in Turkey. 99% people Muslim, and they try to, of course, like their personal life, private life, they also in public life, they try to live their values, their ideas, their beliefs. So AK Party, for those kind of clinical problem of Turkey, AK Party try to actually touch those issues, touch the life and change the life. That's why it has almost many elections. She has victory. She has victory, and in last election again, he win. Okay, I think this Turkish specific issue of the security in regard of the PKK still we have. So what will be happen in the future, we will see. So in the European sense, of course, globalization sense, in all world, we see that the local government is important arena in order to representing in sense of representing people's demands, and it's like a school. Actually, it is a school of democracy. Let's say without the ladder you can't write. So first we teach ladder, and then after the decodification of these ladders, we have ability to write. So for democracy, actually, people has this chance of local government in order to solve their problems. That's why AK Party actually has vision of 2023 of local government. Okay, thank you very much for your listening.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody who has organized this international conference. Today I want to talk about legal studies of blue cards of foreigners under Turkish law in comparison with European Union law. First of all, I would like to mention the immigration process from Turkey to European countries. Due to the large-scale immigration from Turkey to Europe in general and Germany in particular, since the 1960s, Turkey has been regarded primarily as an immigrant-sending country. Most of immigrated people started to living in European countries and tried to be integrated. However, because of the limitations for foreigners, they have had difficulties to be integrated these countries. They did not want to lose their also Turkish citizenship because they had some ties with Turkey, like family ties, business ties, inheritance things. Before, I would like to talk about the blue card status. A little bit want to talk about immigration, and if they don't have to lose their citizenship, what will happen? If they decide to lose their Turkish citizenship, they will be subject to foreigners' law, because when the time of losing their Turkish citizenship before the blue card amendment, there was no any privileged group for these people, so they will be subject to foreigners' law. Before examining the blue card status, heading to reasons and aim of blue card status, and why is there no need any regulation in European Union law. One of the basic principles of citizenship law is everyone is free to change their citizenship, in particular the execution of actions that are incompatible with patriarchal loyalty against the state. The state may not provide the diplomatic protection powers over the person concerned, and the person may be punished by taking out his citizenship. But today we will not talk about the state not provide the diplomatic protection and powers. Just we will talk about if the person who decides to change their citizenship from Turkish to another European country's citizenship. Turkish citizenship law stated that the decision of the competent authority or exercise of the right to choose was made on the cases, which resulted in the loss of citizenship, which is related to Article 23 of Turkish national law, and the loss of Turkish citizenship are taken out, lost, or with the cancellation of the movement. Foreigners are subject to the statute, rights and obligations to which the law of the state they are accountant is known to them. There is no statistical difference between foreigners unless it is regulated otherwise. However, some differences can be anticipated in various cases and considerations between foreigners. One of the privileged group of foreigners is regulated in Turkish foreigners law. One of these that today we will talk about this is, most importantly, is the status given to those and their relatives who get permission while they are being out of Turkish citizenship. I mean that when they change their citizenship from Turkish citizenship to another citizenship. These persons were born as Turkish. Then later they were out of Turkish citizenship by getting permission, which is so important in this case, from competent authority because of some reasons. Most of the reasons are, in particular in Germany, they don't accept double citizenship. Or if their residence is in one of the European country, most of the European country, they don't accept two citizenship. These persons, when they born as Turkish, later they have to get permission to change their citizenship. If this Turkish birth, Turkish people, they don't get any permission when they are changing their citizenship. Otherwise, they don't have right to have these blue card status. This status, which was entered into our legal system in 1995 and initially referred to as a pink card because of this color, but now it's blue card and we call them as a blue card foreigners, pass through various stages and continue to exist as daily. Although we have given this kind of status, still there are some difficulties to integrate this blue card status to Turkish law. In the past, there have been various interpretation and implementation issues regarding this status. In order to find solutions to these problems that have arisen, a number of changes have been made to the statutory order. However, the changes brought also new legal problems. Although interpretation and implementation problems related to the relevant provisions and the examination and evaluations conducted in the doctrine have been discussed and the controversial issues have been tried to be clarified, it is seen that the legal nature of the statute and the related issues are not handled at all or least enough. So it means that still in some cases we have faced that there are some problems to interpret the blue card status, because although they have that lots of amendments on this status, still there is some different interpretation on this status. Before the amendment of Article 29 of the Turkish Citizenship Law number 403, persons who lost their Turkish citizenship were subjected to foreigners' status from the date of their disappearance of Turkish nationality. It also causes some problems because these people, when they have inheritance, because of that being foreigners, they could not get inherited, all of them. So they had to change this in liquidation. And they were only able to benefit from the rights of Turkish law to foreigners in matters such as residence, real estate acquisition, which I mentioned before, remuneration, inheritance, and also work. In this regulation, there was no differences between the causes of loss of citizenship and the causes of lost citizenship that the Turkish citizenship according to Turkish nationality law. However, the exclusion of Turkish citizenship from the general foreign status led to the problem of Turkish citizens living in foreign countries The problem that has arisen as a consequence of the inclusion of the general foreign studies has influenced Turkish students, especially those residing in European countries. Those many European countries, as I mentioned before, do not accept dual citizenship, and the Turkish people who are living in European countries are not entitled to have dual citizenship, and they have to change their citizenship to continue living in this country without any difficulty. However, the fact that Turkish citizens were integrated into the countries that they are also considered a national policy issue at this time. In 1995, when the significant change was made, it is in order to ensure the integration of Turkish citizens to the countries where they live currently. It aimed to regulate the situation of the foreigners who were Turkish citizens at birth and they had to leave their Turkish citizenship because of some reasons. Regard to this amendment, these foreigners have opportunity to benefit as Turkish citizens in some situations which determined in Turkish citizenship law. With this change, new study which is called Privileged Foreign Group has been established in Turkish foreigners law except Turkish foreigners. This new study called Blue Card because of the color of the card. The purpose of the amendment is clear enough to integrate the foreigners who were Turkish citizens at birth and have connections in Turkey as family ties and business, etc. Turkish citizens by birth who lost their citizenship by obtaining renunciation, so they have to get permission to change their citizenship. If they don't get any permission when they are changing their citizenship, it's not possible to have this blue card status. Permits and their children. Regard to this amendment, these foreigners have opportunity to benefit as Turkish citizens in some situations which determined in Turkish citizenship law. With this change, new study Privileged Foreign Group has been established in Turkish foreigners law except Turkish people. This new study called Blue Card because of the color of the card that I mentioned before, the purpose of the amendment is clear enough to integrate the foreigners who were Turkish citizens at birth and have connections to Turkey as family ties and business, etc. Turkish citizens by birth who lost their citizenship by obtaining renunciation, permit, and their children, like blue card holders, are ensured to hold the right to benefit from the same rights granted Turkish citizens except for the military service obligations. These are the exceptions. Right to vote and to be elected, right to be employed in public services, right to import exempted vehicles and household goods. And according to Turkish citizenship law, which is related to Article 28, provided that these provisions concerning national security and public order are reserved. There is always ambiguity to implement and interpret the national security and public order. One of the rights that is not granted to the blue card holders is the right to be employed in public services. The right to be employed in public services should be understood as a right to be public personnel, but still there are some alternatives to work as an employer in Turkey. In fact, the restraints to be employed in public services for blue card holders mean that these people are not allowed to be public personnel. However, foreigners can be employed under various types of contracts at the state institutions according to law, Article 4b, and some special schools. Today, these are all that I would like to mention and talk about the blue card status. Thank you for your attention.